The vertebral column. The vertebral column has 5 separate regions. From superior to inferior, the regions are the cervical region, the thoracic region, the lumbar region, the sacrum, and the coccyx. We have representative bones from each one of these regions pictured here. This bone is from the cervical region. This is from the thoracic region. This is from the lumbar. And this is the sacrum. And here is the coccyx. Let's use this thoracic vertebra to show you some structures that are common to all vertebrae. All vertebrae have this large section and the anterior of the bone. This section of the vertebra is called the body. All vertebrae also have this point of bone that sticks out the posterior of the vertebra. This is called the spinous process. All vertebrae also have these 2 projections of bone that stick out to either side of the vertebra. These are called the transverse processes. The transverse processes, when the vertebra is stacked up how it should be in the vertebral column, are lying in the transverse plane. All vertebrae also have this section that connects the body to the transverse processes called the pedicle. They also have this section that is between the transverse processes and the spinous process called the lamina. There are also the parts of the vertebra that will stick up superiorly and inferiorly and make the joint with the vertebra either above it or below it. These are called the articular facets. The articular facets that are on the superior of the bone are called the superior articular facets. The ones on the inferior are called the inferior articular facets. In general, the superior articular facets should always face towards the posterior. The inferior articular facets should always face towards the anterior. Every vertebra also has a large hole that the spinal cord goes through. This hole is called the vertebral foramen. If we use this section of the vertebral column where 2 vertebrae are stacked together, we can see structures that are made with 2 adjacent vertebrae. The first structure is this structure here. This is called the intervertebral disc. The next structure is this structure right here called the intervertebral foramen. It is through the intervertebral foramen that the spinal nerves come out of the spinal cord and go to the rest of the body. Let's now focus on the first of our vertebrae groups, the cervical vertebra. In the cervical vertebra group, there are 7 vertebrae. They are named C for the group name cervical, and then 1 through 7 from superior to inferior. Here we see C1, C2, and one of the common cervical vertebrae. The thing that you'll notice about all cervical vertebrae that make them unique is that in the cervical vertebra's transverse process, there is a hole. These holes are called the transverse foramen. All cervical vertebrae have them. In addition, most cervical vertebrae have a forked, or what we call bifid, spinous process. The first two cervical vertebrae are very unique. We will start with this one here, cervical vertebra 1, or C1 for short. C1 has a unique name because it's such a unique structure. The unique name for this vertebra is called the atlas. The superior articular facets of the atlas will hold the skull up on its shoulders, thus giving it its name, named after the Roman god Atlas who held the world on his shoulders. You will see that C1 is a unique vertebra in that it is the only vertebra that has no body and no spinous process. Instead, it has an anterior arch and a posterior arch. But it is a cervical vertebra because you can see the transverse foramen in its transverse processes. C2 also has a unique name. Its unique name is called the axis. The reason it's called the axis is because the atlas, which fits right here, can turn around this bone projection. If we look at the axis this way, you can see that this bony projection sticks up on the superior surface of the bone. This projection is called the dens. Let's move to the next vertebra region. The next vertebra region is the thoracic region. There are 12 individual vertebrae in this region. Unique structures on the thoracic vertebra are found on the side of the bodies. Here and here you will find attachments for the ribs. We call these in general costal facets. On the bodies, these facets are called the superior and inferior costal facets. You will also find a facet for the ribs on the transverse process of the thoracic vertebra. These facets are called the transverse costal facets. When I look at thoracic vertebra, I can tell that this is a thoracic vertebra using one of two ways. I can look at the body, and if I look at the body, I can see that the body is vaguely shaped like a heart. This makes sense to me because these vertebrae should be lying just posterior to the heart. But most people, when they look at thoracic vertebra, will look at the thoracic vertebra this way, and when they look at the thoracic vertebra this way, they see a giraffe head. This is pretty typical of thoracic vertebra. Lumbar vertebrae are the largest of our vertebra groups. There are 5 members of this group, L1 through L5. With the lumbar vertebra, you can see that the bodies have grown quite large, and instead of being heart-shaped, their bodies are bean-shaped, like a kidney bean. If you look at the posterior part of a lumbar vertebra and you look at it this way, most people will see a moose head with its nose and its antlers up at the top. Next is the sacrum. The sacrum is a fused bone. Typically, there are 5 separate fused parts in the sacrum. The sacrum does still have, if you look at the posterior, its superior articular facets, but the rest of the articular facets are missing. On the anterior of the bone, you will see this ridge of bone that projects towards the anterior. This ridge of bone is called the sacral promontory. The last part of the vertebral column is the very tail. This is called the coccyx. This is also a fused bone There are anywhere from 3 to 5 fused bones in this particular region of the vertebral column.